Hi, Allie. Hi, Teddy. Welcome in, guys. Got my water. We're gonna get started with Pokopia. No cam again today. Again, I'm not feeling great, so we're just gonna do no cam and prioritize our Pokopia world. Pokopia, copium, more like it. Pokopium. um. hmm. All right. I think everything's fine. Can everybody hear me? Okay. Literally. All right. Turn off the music together. We have unlocked a few more Pokemon. We built out more of a place. Um, I'm realizing that I've over inhabited some of my areas, so some Pokemon don't even spawn. Look at me. So this is my little house. Oh, Flaffy's here, and someone else is here. Wait, is it Zoroark? Yeah. It is Zoroark. Let's go. Ooh, yeah. This Pokemon cares deeply about others of its kind. Trade and shop. Okay, cool. It likes the dark. Ooh, we got something DIY. A recipe. Look at Farfetch'd up there. What? Perched on a lamp. That's so cool. Ooh, rope. Okay, so rope. Now Flappy's there, which we wanted Flappy to spawn. Look at her. Hey. Hey, nice to meet you. Wow, your body's pretty smooth. So is mine. Huh? You think I'm more fluffy than smooth? That's true. Parts of me are smooth, and other parts are really, really fluffy. Oh, but my fluff's packed with electricity, so just watch out for that. Oops, too late. Oh, so cute. Look at him. As a result of storing too much electricity, it developed patches where even downy wool won't grow. Oh wow. Love that, love that. Alright, let's go see. We did get Pelipper. Those spawns at these locations. All those grass patches over there spawn. Okay, so we built out this bridge. Built out the bridge. I wonder if Meowth won't start trading. Oh yes, he's trading. Okay, good. So I built out the storefront for Meowth, which is what I was trying to do on stream yesterday. And I have him living here. Check this out. Okay, wait, let's talk. Peppa berries. Yes, I know that. Come trade with me. Okay, what do you have today? Ooh, a mailbox. You know what? I'll take the mailbox. I totally will. What you gonna trade for it? Okay, so it's a bartering system. So we pretty much can give him whatever we want. I'm gonna give him grass flooring. This will be my currency. Pretty sure. Just to get it out of my inventory, because I don't. Thanks. I got a mailbox. What's this? Waste paper, so garbage. A fire pit. Ooh, and a sturdy stick that I can find on the ground. Get fire pit. Here's some grass. Honestly, can I be honest? It's not even grass. It's flooring that looks like grass. Let's give him some more flooring. And it's easy to make. so thanks. Nope, I don't want your trash. Thank you. Remember the Pokemon Center they were working on? Well, it's completed. So I think now we can travel between areas better. I haven't entered here, but look at this. Someone's journal. I remember this being a bright, bustling port city way back when I visited with my partner. Now there are always dark clouds looming over the city. Not a single sunbeam sips through. Looks like most of the people who lived here have gone too. The last time we were here, whenever we went near the water, Justine got so nervous. That's me! I'm Justine! Maybe because it can't swim. I tried getting it to transform into a water type, but despite its best efforts, we had little success. I guess it's not so easy. After giving it a lot of encouragement, I was shocked when it suddenly transformed into me. It copied every detail of my clothing, my haircut. Only its face still looked like Ditto. Fortunately, transforming into me didn't really help with the whole not being able to swim issue. Oh my god, it's our trainer! That is so cute! Wait, what's this? I'll make a copy. Yeah, let's rest. What a cute piece of lore! Is that a cash register? It is the cash register. Why can't I pick up? Oh, it doesn't count as a cash register. I need this for an environment, so I'm gonna steal that. We can leave. Don't forget to steal from your local Pokemon Center, okay? So we built out these bridges off stream. Owie. No, literally. I mean, all we do in this game is steal. Built out these bridges. The bridges are pretty much rebuilt. So now we can get across. Oh, we even put a little staircase here. Which I guess I can put more sand down. Because I do want it to feel like it was actually rebuilt, you know? I have to make more of this flooring. Pelipper's not here. And we have no other spawns yet. There's a gold thing in there. Gym battle? What do I drop? I have too much stuff in my pockets. I'm just gonna place that here. A CD? Yeah, it's a CD with music. I need those, because I have to put these on my bridge. But utility poles are up, bridges have been remade. Oh well, this one has to get remade. I'd rather this be wood flooring. Damn, I really am carrying too much stuff, huh? Here, let's put these harbor poles down. That was it. We'll have to buy that or make that. Harbor poles. See, I want to make wood planks, like kind of like this. That would be the replacement for the flooring because I wanted to kind of give off that vibe. These are all pre-made houses. Like if I added a door here, I'm pretty sure somebody could live here. I also want some of this material, so maybe we can like break this. We also have this large bridge to rebuild. There's so much stuff over there. Honestly, let's go. Oh wait, I don't have any room in my bag. Let's go empty our pockets. Excuse me. This is my home. This is where I spawned in. Then I have my base here to craft. Honestly, I need more of these. Ooh, a stone bench. Hi, Micah. How are we liking Pokopia? Welcome in. Thank you for the resub for 19 months. I hope you enjoy your sub badge. 19 months is crazy. And thank you for checking in. I can tell how much work you put into the game and it validates TikToks. No, you have to put so much work into this game to make it worth it. Micah, how are you doing today? I'm on my break. Okay, period. You're at work. How's work going? How long is your break? Like 10 minutes? 15 minutes? We need to build more of this flooring. But, I need to put some stuff away. Okay. I need to put ingredients away. So ingredient. This and then where's my flooring? Oh, nothing fits in here though. Like, I don't think my flooring's gonna fit. I don't know what flooring I have. Okay, bricks in there, sand in there. Sand doesn't fit. Too much sand. That fits. None of this fits. I have logs in here? No. So I think I'm gonna just put flooring in these two things. And leave the other storages for item. Pretty much. Micah, how was your week this week? No, I'm not trying to pick it up. How was your week been? Did you work this week? Streaming, I can't remember. Honestly, I've been so out of it that like the days kind of blend together. Okay, so I think I'm gonna move this. Only 3 left. I need to build Psyduck's environment. Yo, Ditto! Hey. Sure, let's do a quiz. Justin's on Pokopia time. Honestly, it kind of just all blends in. Favorite flavor? I'm gonna go with dry. Not it. Too bad, yo. Okay. Okay, bye. I'm gonna build a little home here too. Oh, that's not what I meant. Oh, but it doesn't fit. I'm building a little home. I'm gonna build a home for fire types here. I'm gonna try to empty that home out, but I think I'm gonna build these out with like actual homes so that people are not just like living in this grass over here. You know, I've been working since Tuesday, but I'm off Wednesday. Okay, so you have a week of work, then you're off on Wednesday. How do you feel about that? Has it been stressful? Have you been getting your rest? I don't have dupes of any of that. I know a week of work is crazy, 7 days straight. Oh, I have space in here, huh? So let's Maybe move some stuff. Oh, move just 4 items into there to get. Oh, it's 5 items, 76. Oh, whoops. It'll be 8 days? What? I would literally die. I'm not dramatic. I would have literally died. And that's not drama. That's honesty. Build out a little storage area here. I guess I have furniture in these in my pockets right now. So let's do decorations and furniture. Yeah, I guess lighting counts. I guess the CD in there. And I just needed more storage to empty out my hand. Oh, is it the bottom? Yeah, the bottom is empty. And let's get our ingredients back. Oh, actually, you know what we can do? Do we not have any lumber? That's kind of madness. We have no lumber. Any sticks in here? Hey, what? Sometimes it gets a big. Aww. Squish the cheeks. I learned the angry emote. Kinda rest, to be honest. And meh, kinda rest. What does that mean? Kinda rest. Like you didn't really rest a lot? Sorry, friend. Can I at least make that flooring? I can only make 10. Where are my ingredients? Where are my background singers? I have nothing in here. I'm gonna get rid of this. There's nothing in there. Guys, there's literally nothing in this. Oh. That's why. There was a whole scarf down my lunch. I'm trying to scarf down my lunch. No, you should totally eat. You don't ever have to apologize for eating. Yeah, all the building blocks and fencing, stairs. It's kind of how I like to organize it. I guess the storage boxes. Thing and moving. Oh, that's rack. This. I think that's how I'm gonna organize it. Everything else can kind of just. I don't even think I need this storage box, low key. I think I'm gonna do that. There you go. How to process small sticks. I don't think wool does anything for me yet, or twine. Carrots. None of this is helpful. I do want to plant some stuff, so I'm gonna take all my gardening stuff, flowers around, and those I want to make a farm. I'm gonna put this clay in this box for people to process, and I don't have any trash, which I think it's in my other storage. Here's more clay. This. Look at them. Look at all these people. I love all these Pokemon here. Like, seeing them just out in the world, interacting, chatting with each other. Like, all that's so cool. Look at them. They don't live together, though. We're gonna... Oh, look. Traces of a Pokemon. Prinplup. Oh, we're totally getting Prinplup. I have 3 of these grasses set up. It's literally everywhere. I'm gonna make this like a little overlook. Actually, you know what? I'm just gonna cut the bridge off here. Oh. And we have to make harbor poles. Like, I wish I could just pick up. Like, I don't like... I think the inhaling is cute or whatever, but... I wish I could just pick up loot off the ground. I need to make some of this gray foundation as well. Follow me, Torchic. I need you to go get to work. Come, come. I have the perfect task for you. Oh, this bridge is open. I haven't fixed that bridge yet. I want you to do that. I wish that they would do it on their own. Like, how do they use the community box? Look at this. Oh. I guess we're parting ways. I want you to work on that, please. Where's Growlithe, too? Growlithe should be doing that, too. Michael, what'd you have for lunch? I'm sure your break's over, but... Popping in. I got some of the Lord's chicken. What is the Lord's chicken? What the fuck does that mean? I'm sorry, I don't know what that means. Please, expand my knowledge. Sorry guys, I got a text. Chick-fil-A. Oh, homophobic chicken. Yeah, God's not homophobic. People are, you know what I mean? But I see. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Don't tell anybody. I love Chick-fil-A. I think Chick-fil-A is good. Like, it's not the best. I'll still get Wendy's over Chick-fil-A any day, but bust down a Chick-fil-A. Is there a Chick-fil-A close to the store you work at? It's crazy how you always want it on Sundays too. Like, yeah, like, fuck! I want to make wood planks, but I don't have any... Like, I don't have Pokemon that gather, and that's kind of like a problem, that I just have so much stuff everywhere that I have to go and pick up, like, all this. See this trash here that Grimer leaves behind? I literally have to pick it up. Maybe my level has to be higher for them to use these boxes. Trubbish is supposed to be doing this. Oh, she's working on it. Oh my god, she is! Torchic, you god. I'm gonna add more for you to do. Who do we need for this? Let's bring Growlithe. It's Growlithe, Makuhita, Azurill, Wooper, Farfetch'd. Okay. I'll leave Makuhita here because he's kind of waiting to do that task anyway. O'Reilly. Where is Wooper? Oh, Wooper, come here, early. We have work to do. Follow me. You, Azurill. Oh, and Farfetch'd right here at the Pokemon Center. Bye, Micah. Bye, Micah. Yes, much love. I'm glad you came in. I hope your rest of your shift goes really well. Girl, not you complaining about your Pokemon and then they're out. Yeah, I know. I was. You know what? I hope Torchic forgives me. Yeah, follow me. Makuhita. I think. Oh wait, I need a fire type. We have to find Growlithe. Growlithe, where are you? I think we're gonna have to use honey to spawn Growlithe. Tyranitar? Try first Tyranitar here. Like, even Larvitar's not here. Oh no, Larvitar's in the house. Growlithe, wake up, honey. Oh, hey. Follow me. Sure, I'll follow you. Yep, let's go. And then Makuhita, come here. Follow me. A building. We'll make this someone's home. It'll be done tomorrow. Say less. Alright, have fun, guys. They're not even working. They're like, why did you guys put us to work here? I'm gonna break these houses down, I think, now. But I have... Oh, I still have no space in my bag. Wait, in my bag. Flower seeds. Oh yeah, maybe we can plant some flowers here. I'm gonna just make these pens. hungry. And that's... Oh, can I eat a cave mushroom? I only had one. Oh my god. I have no sustenance. It's honestly so, like, monotonous, but very, comforting, I guess? Relaxing. I'm gonna have to go around like this, I guess. Remember how hard taking those other buildings apart was. Oh, I didn't get a good angle there. I think I can reach this top area. Ali, how's your weekend going? Any plans this weekend? What are you up to? I'm already hungry again. I don't have any food. Good. Good, we went to Chipotle. Ooh. Hodler broke our other one a month ago. Oh my god, how did that happen? Was it like something was thrown? Someone break a TV. Especially a child. Just pushed like a cat. Oh! She said, I don't want this here. Can you pick this up, please? We cleared this whole lot. Like, I think I kind of want to make a farmland here. Like, I'm gonna put a farm here and put all the plant Pokemon here and just have like irrigation set up for a farm. I need to get more berries. There's water coming. Main fishing spot. Oh marshy fishing spot. So I'm near where Wooper is. Or where Clodsire is. Huh. Now that we own a house. So I gotta, yeah, you could do more permanent stuff. Hey, that's awesome. What do you guys, when did you buy your house? That's awesome. This might not be worth it because of the murky water situation. I'm not really sure how they play. We'll see. Let's see. We can break all this. We don't have any food though, which is gonna be a problem. Oh, it's right here. Interesting. But there's water here. I found water source. So that means we can bring this water down. Oh, I have no system. Okay. Let's clean this all up. They're working on this. I might put some other folks in there. Torchic, I have more clay for you. Sorry, Torchic, I'm really gonna put you to work here. It's a small log, yeah. And Rubbin, can you help me out? Follow me. Oh wait, no. I meant to say, let's split up. Look at this. I have some wood for you. Make me some lumber. We didn't move in until the last week of October because we ripped all the carpets up. In September, I mean, technically we don't. Yeah, that makes sense. But we didn't move in until the last week of October because we ripped all the carpets and have flourishes on. Oh my god, that sounds fun. We did that in my mom's house. We ripped all of the wallpaper off before we moved in. And we cleaned the walls, like literally scrubbed the walls with like the wallpaper glue. I'm gonna look up how to make small logs in Copia. Oh, Copium. I'm gonna change my title to that actually. Cut on tree. Oh. So I only get logs by chopping down trees. Well, I can't even make logs out of small sticks. Here's material. The Pokemon will send the lumber to you. Just talk to your site there. Okay, obtain small logs. Cut ability. To break wooden beams you find. Okay, so I have to literally chop down trees. That's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. That's so unfortunate. Oh, what is this? The whole house was carpet. I'll show you the before and after in Discord. Okay. Ooh. Hey, babe. Thank you for checking in. Sorry, I wasn't looking at the chat beforehand. Oh. Trace of a Pokemon. Okay, maybe we can build some habitats. But we have to get lumber. Magnezone. Okay, and now we're cooking. Okay, wait. Let's go back to our other land. Let's go get some food and some bear and some stuff. Maybe we'll make this all farmland. Like these two things will be farmlands, maybe. And then this could be a home. And this could be a home. And I think we can make farms out of this and just have irrigation just here because we have a water source. And we can make this like a waterway and just have grass Pokemon live here, which I think would be cool. Oh, there's Lugia. Hey, buddy. Here to collect your. Yeah, well, we need to use cut to get these beans. And then we can build some habitats. So let's go. Oh, look, a waterfall. I can break that. This is the bean plant. Dry tomato plant, nice. Ooh, ask your better berries. Okay, new berry alert. Yellow paint alert, by the way. Oh. Maybe we can build this out low key. We can break through here. Oh, this whole thing is blocking this. Oh my god. Hell yeah, look at that waterfall go! Yay! We got water! Oh my god, and electricity! Water wheel spot habitat. It's a habitat, guys! Oh, we're gonna unlock some Pokemon now! Okay, wait, I had not explored this. This is such a massive side of the map. Wait, I had not been here. There's so much to explore. Steel. Campfire. Great. Oh my god, it's Lucas! Hi, Lucas. Welcome in. Thank you for the raid. Guys, did my raid go off? It did. Okay, nice. What's up, Matt? How are you? Welcome in, guys. How was your stream? What did you play today? I think I had you tabbed, but I didn't get to see what game you were playing. Hacker's Confessions has been added to your human record. It happened when I was hacking into a server in another region for fun and stumbled on a system with excessively high security. Finding these sorts of things is always a thrill. It took a lot of effort, but once I breached it, all I could find was what seemed like trivial data about weather patterns. It was anticlimactic, but it made me think. Why would someone put so much effort into hiding something like this? That nagged me. So I drove back in. Oh, I dove back in. It took a lot of work, but I learned how to make sense of the weather data. I was able to gather that a natural disaster had struck that region, dozens of huge repeated hurricanes. That's the only conclusion I could draw, but I'd never heard news about a disaster like that. Holy shit. You're ready. Welcome in. Yeah, I brought Matt along. He probably doesn't remember you. Oh, yeah. Matt, wait. Welcome in. I've never met you before. I have no idea who you are. I've never seen you before. Since you're new here, my name is Justin. Dude, I laughed so hard. I was like, dog. That's so funny. You're like, Justin, I think your name is? I was like, I guess. I found some more water, guys. We're just playing on Pokopia. harvesting. I have no idea where this leads. There is an outlet. Where is this? What is this? What is this? Where am I? Oh! Oh! I made a tunnel. I made a tunnel, guys. Or maybe this tunnel was always here and I just opened it up. Wish I had this game, dude. This game has consumed me. I am obsessed. It's like the only thing I've played in like the last few days. How was your stream, Lucas? What were you playing? Overwatch? You're playing. Vicariously Juice Justin, and I hope I'm doing a good job of making you not want to get the game. You know what I mean? Like watching me is enough. Oh, I'm hungry again. I don't have any food. Like, why? Oh, I do have a carrot. Oh, and beans. You are more than enough, brother. I hope so. It's apparently unforgettable. I'm fucking around. Allegedly. I'm fucking around. Nah, how you been, bro? What have you been up to? Did you guys finish Split Fiction? Doing well. Sweeney's cat. Did you guys get to finishing Split Fiction? Because y'all were playing together, huh? Continue next week. There's another outlet. Hold on, wait. Oh, it's a big cave. Oh, okay. I see. Oh, it does open up. Interesting. I'm gonna knock this all out. I don't really care. Yeah, look at that. It opens up here. There's another outlet here. Wait, where's this? Interesting. I've not explored any of this. Like, look at how massive. There's so much here. This is massive. Like, the fact that it expands this far is insane. Back here. Nothing fun. It's just. Oh, and then the map closes. Yeah, this is the edge of the map. Okay. A Ditto doll! Nice. I guess that's why you should come back here, right? There's another gold. Okay, so maybe I won't blow this whole thing up. Hitting your cat? No, you're fine. Totally fine. I hope you had a good stream. What were you playing today? Was it Overwatch? I couldn't remember. Marvels. Oh, Marvel's Midnight Sun. Hey, what's that game? This is the way I move. Helicopter! Honestly. Okay, so the waterfall is working. It doesn't extend all the way down here, unfortunately. Oh. It does extend down here. I just have to put flooring. Let's do Barren Sea Sand. No. It's beautiful, I know. Water here. Dog, why would I want it there? Let's be so serious. I guess we can put some red cliff rock here. See? You just have to fix this waterway up. Oh, it's not enough water. Oh, it's because of this. There you go. And now it extended into here. But that's not enough water. Okay. Not enough water. That's fine. We just have to figure out a way to get water in here. Yes, I got you. I got you with your viewers. I got to raid and run. No, I promise your friend. No, you absolutely can raid and run. No judgment. Thank you for trusting me with your community and bringing Matt back here. We just have to remind him who I am at every turn. So thank you for making sure that happened. Hey, I know where I'm at. This is where I kept drowning. Interesting. This is where I found out the lore that the Pokemon were gonna get left behind. Interesting. Hey, I know exactly where I'm at. I'll never forget again. Good. Nah, I'm glad you're here, bro. You're good people. I'm a little Lapras. Oh, I should break all this, huh? Oh, that was actual lumber. I have to break all these logs. I don't have any lumber. Small logs. Driftwood. There we go. Yeah, let's collect all this wood. Honestly, and these planks too. I don't want to waste any materials on that. Time to eat some carrots. I have a bean left. I'm gonna steal all this stuff, Allie. Have we not learned? I'm a thief. Oh, there's ore in there too. In the sand. Another campfire to steal. These bags are good decoration, especially for like the port. And so are these crates. Is that a wall? That's a wooden wall. Interesting. Somebody was building in here, you know? How many crates can I open? And then let's break these. Yeah, I get some ore. And then, do I have room? Yeah, I do. Let's grab these planks. Slurp that up. Doing a lot of slurping over here. Slurping and sucking. Sucking and slurping. I need some of these. Not me drowning. Drowning for the loot. Drowning for the loot. I will put my life on the line for this loot. Look at where the water just sits. Because I broke the floor. Ooh. There's stuff on the seafloor. Like that. Like this. When that too. Some of these rocks obviously I can't break because I think they're at the border. Did I get all the wood? Oh, there's a drift here. Oh, I drowned. Terry! Terry, how far have you gotten? I saw a TikTok that was like, when you forget your Pokemon were following. Oh, yeah, I know. Literally, it's like, hey, wait for me! And I'm like, oh, oops. Oh, wait, where does this ladder go? Wait, me discovering so much of this cave is crazy. Terry, how are you doing? Can you stop? Now, why is Siri listening to me? My name is this bitch. I'm still making Wasteland look good. Oh my god, have you not gone to your next world? Like, have you not unlocked this yet? I know, and honestly, I have a ladder that I could use, but let's go to this island. Let's steal. We're stealing. We're stealing. We're stealing all these boards. I'm like, anyways, yeah, so the door is open, but I haven't gone in yet. Okay, well, if you don't want spoilers, this is where that door leads. And I'm pretty much rebuilding it now. I have access to electricity, but I'm mostly a thief. Like, I really go into these places and I be stealing everything. Steal this, just steal everything. Bet. I would say that's like the only reason I have half the stuff I have is because I'm stealing. No spoilers. You need to leave. I'm stealing all this stuff and I'm putting it in the wasteland. My wasteland needs some more improvement because right now it's overcrowded. Like, I need to move some people. But Terry, have you been having a lot of fun with this? Because I have. And I'm stealing this whole bridge. Stealing the bridge. It won't let me pick it up. I think I'm gonna steal these little blocks too. Because why the fuck not? Making houses for everyone. Oh, see, I treat my Pokemon like farm animals, and they all kind of live in pens. You know, Here, let me show you an example of a pen I've created. I only make houses. Bro, I've been stealing everything from Dream Islands. Wait, Dream Islands are full of loot though. Like, that's what they're meant for. Oh, Torchic, are you done with my clay? Thank you. Give me my bricks. Excuse me. Oh. Pokemon sighting. Oh no, jars of honey. Let's go. And now we can continue making these bridges with all those wood planks that we stole. But yeah, so this is my house in this town, and I have it like a playpen. Same thing. I only built this enclosed house because the Pokemon were griefing me about how bright it was. So I was like, you know what? Let me give you guys some shelter. So I built this other pen for 4 people, and I built this house. Where's that? The playpen is killing me. Dude. See, and then I can... Eventually, Trubbish will come back and do his job. Define house. Well, it has 4 walls and a door. And honestly, that's all I needed. And I was like, oh, well, this is the house, then, I guess. There's still so much clay in there. Like, girl, I need you to work on that. We have our trading set up. Oh, and I made a little storefront. Right in front of my house, and here's the PC. So we're gonna just keep rebuilding these bridges. I didn't steal what I said I was gonna steal, so I'm gonna go back and steal that stuff. There's a habitat. We still need a Golbat. And we learned you cannot use railings. Oh my god, yeah. Honestly, I still have not mastered home building. So we're kind of stuck. Because in the wasteland, I have no home. I'm literally homeless. Full huts and cabins. It just takes so long for the Pokemon to complete that it almost isn't worth it if you can just put up some fencing or walls on your own. Make your own mod house. Oh, there's a stove in here. Ooh, this is like an eating area. Wait, this is so cute. Maybe I can replicate this over there. I'm gonna break all that down. I'm stealing all this shit. All right, Rock Smash, here we go. We're on our way to rebuilding Vermilion in our vision. Cabins? Yeah, fuck that. These are animals we're talking about. I'm not building an animal, a house with a roof. Even though that there is this one house with a roof, you know. Like I don't even have a house. We can move these palm trees. Palm seeds, let's go. Ow. The fireworms don't like the rain. Yeah, so I put them. I don't know if you've unlocked Onyx here. We'll even go to Wastelands. I don't have a home. It's just gonna spawn me at the Pokemon Center. I live for the Justin commentary. I'm glad. Check your phone. Checking. Did you find anything on my goals? I'm going to Scooters. Want anything? Ooh. Maybe. A little sweet treat. The way I want some Wendy's. You have Onyx in a hut? Okay, look. Here is the wasteland. Oh, it's so bright. Okay, it's cloudy though. So here's my waste. Oh, who is it? Who is it? Come back. Oh my god, Haxorix. We got the whole line. This is our first completed line. Let's go. Oh, actually, no, we had Bellsprout. This ought to be a fine place to sleep. I'll tell you what. But who on earth could have made such a place? It was me. Say, what? You? For me? Yes, I did. Just for you. Boba got a Charizard already? So did my brother. These magnificent tusks of mine can cut through anything. I'm sure I can help you make places to live as well. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Is it just build? Chop and litter. Oh. Let's go, Haxorus. So Haxorus lives here. Here, I'll show you around. So this is where my house was supposed to be. But every time I put 4 walls up, it said no. So I kind of just live here. This is all my stuff. And I don't ever go to sleep. Yes, Snowpoke, what do you want? Oh, just use a house kit? That's so real. I should just use a house kit. No. I don't want carrots. Thank you. We have Weeping Bell and Gumi and Pichu and Sudowoodo. Oh! Someone's in the... Wait! Ivysaur, please be Ivysaur. We've been waiting for Ivysaur. Come on, Ivysaur, please. Ivysaur. Please. Yes! We got Ivysaur! Second starter evolution. Hey, do you know what happened to you? Do you happen to know what area gets the most sun around here? I love to sunbathe every day, but I don't really know this place too well. Oh dang, sorry bud. This is our first time meeting, isn't it? My bad. I just went off battling. Let's be buddies from now on. I love that they call you bestie. I put him in a house with Boba. Oh, let's go. So, speaking of houses, so technically this is a house. And I have Pichu living here alone. Nobody else lives here with Pichu, except for Paris. I think Paris lives here. Weeping Bell. I forgot where I put Paris. I think Paris is in that open area, but that counts as a house. What else? We have Chansey. We have all these spaces. So he needs a playpen. No, literally. Terry. We have the fighters here. Hitmonlee and Hitmonchan and Hitmontop. Oh. And then we're gonna expand out to this area, but we haven't built this out yet. But it's because I have access to electricity, I've already put up some utility poles so we can have lighting. I don't shoot my Pokemon well enough. Oh no, these guys, they're wild. They just have fences. And then I have this cave home. So this is where we find Onyx. And this is literally where I have everybody at. Like Diglett is here. Hi Diglett. He lives down here. That's Charmander's home. Right here. And then Cubone and Marowak. Charmeleon. Drillbur. Excadrill's here too, but we haven't seen Excadrill. It's a zoo! No, literally, that's literally how I view it, is a zoo. That's like a perfect way to put it, Allie. It's basically a zoo. Oh my god, they're stomping upstairs. Guys, can you guys hear that? The little kid's running upstairs. Now you putting a mirror in the cave. You know, like, they have to have something in there, you know, to make it a little bit more homey. And then we have this up. This is where all my bird Pokemon live. None of them are here right now, which is insane. But they're probably off exploring. I think it's super overcrowded, so not all the Pokemon spawn in. So I think I need to split them up a little bit. Because they really be missing. Like, where are my Pokemon? I have so many Pokemon living here. I haven't seen Squirtle anywhere. This whole line is missing. Like, there's a bunch of people missing. So I need to reorganize. I'm gonna organize the houses by habitat preference. Yes. Exactly. No. That's exactly what I want to do. Is like put all the like planters together and have them plant Weeping Bell for 20 minutes. Like literally, I can't find my Pokemon anywhere. There's Bellsprout. There's Whipping Bell, but Victreebel nowhere to be seen. Oh, oh, oh! Is it Wartortle? Wartortle, Wartortle! Did we just get both starters on stream? Hold on, Wartortle, please, please. Blastoise? What? I'm gagged. How did I get Blast? I got Blastoise before Wartortle is crazy. What's got you running all over the place? Watering the tall grass and flowers too. To make this place more pleasant for all the Pokemon here? What a mighty fine thing to do. Truly commendable. I'd love to help out myself. But if I tried watering all the plants, I'm like to wash away all the hard work you've done so far. I'll tell you what, if there's anything else I can help with, just let me know. I'll be cheering you on in the meantime. We have Blastoise. Oh my god, we got Blastoise. This is our first final starter evolution. And honestly, I have to screenshot this and send it to my brother. I'm gonna voice note him. Gaggy, that your first final starter was Charizard, and mine is none other than Blastoise. And I just got him on stream. Isn't that crazy? Oh, he trades. Okay, he's a trader. We're gonna put him on a cash register. Keep him busy. Blastoise, you make me so happy. Look at him. Okay, we definitely have to organize this area better because there's not enough space for everyone here. This is where I had Charmander and Charmeleon living before. Oh, here's Wheat. Drifloon lives here. Carrying too much stuff? My ass. I hear Drifloon. Where is he? Level 7! S tier voice note. I know. He's at dinner right now. We were on the phone earlier. And he was telling me all about his Pokopia progress. Rare Pokemetal. Ooh, we got a lot. I can't purchase it? Why? Because my inventory's full. Okay, wait. I came here to do a few things. Hold on. Let's reorganize. Is this full? So we are gonna put this. I'm gonna keep the tomato plant. I'm gonna keep all the seeds. I think I'm gonna put the furniture here. Oh, there's decorations? Okay. Do I need any? I kind of want toys to put over there. Look at all these dolls they got. And I got a Ditto doll. So we can put a doll in here. Let's bring a fan over to the other one and I think we're gonna leave all this stuff here, the other furniture. Is lighting? We're kind of good on lighting because I'm not gonna put lighting in any of those homes. I know they need to do better with the inventory. Did you unlock the roof? Oh right. Wait. Let's see. I'm gonna put. Yeah, like I low-key need all this stuff for the other environment. But I came here to get more ingredients. And I wanted to take this home, and I wanted to leave this, and leave this, and leave this. Do I want to take plaster with me? I need all this stuff. I do. Don't I? I think. I'm pretty sure I do. I need all this stuff. You you just eat cave mushrooms? I'm gonna eat it. Can I eat seaweed? I can eat seaweed! Oh, I can eat seaweed? That is a game changer. I didn't know I could eat that. So Terry, you mean to tell me that I should just build a stone house right here? Oh, this is where Girder lives. Let's see if this is big enough for it. Honestly, I could make it right here. You're absolutely right. What do I need to do? Stone, brick, or... Oh, I don't have concrete, guys. Well, eventually, when I unlock concrete... Fully recovered my PP. Yeah. When you have to get your PP. When you have to find your PP somewhere. When your PP goes missing. No concrete. No concrete. I wanted to bring logs. And, maybe we could put the stone... Do we have brick in here? We can put stone and brick in there for now. Let's bring our trash. These are all things I want over there. We should go to a dream island, huh? Let's go to a dream island. As well. I get lost. I don't have iron ingots either because I haven't unlocked that. What else can we put away? I'll take the Clefairy doll with me to give to Drifloon. Because I don't know what Hoppip is selling. They knew what they were doing calling people. No, they absolutely did. Excuse me. Is there anything in here I can take? No, but I'm gonna drop off the beds. I don't want it. I can always make I have a few mysterious slates too that I have no idea what to do with. I want all this stuff. I need all that. Like, I think I can put some of this flooring away, actually. My brother wrote back, our starters chose us. No, literally. Because way back when, I definitely started with... Oh, actually... I don't want the plaster. I want foundation. Alpine grass. I want foundation, and I want the gray circle flooring, and like gravel. Alright, I think that's all I need to take to the other land. I have no space in my inventory. Maybe I leave the roof here. The roofing that I broke off that house. It's taking up too much space. And I think I can put my ingredients away. Right? Oh, this is the wrong one. Well, I'll pick it up in a second. And this stuff. I can go to the dream world. Okay, Drifloon, where are you? Let's summon him. Oh, I got rid of my honey. Naturally, I get rid of all the stuff I actually need. Oh, there's Drifloon. Okay, wait. I'll come back for you. I know I just put this all in my bag. This game just activates my ADHD. It's kind of gross. Look at this. I want you to tell me what this is. Oh ho! Twisted spoon. Oh. All these items they're just like pictures that you can put in frames. Drifloon! I need you! Disney Dreamlight has me running around like a crazy person. Is that what you're playing right now? Also, Ali, like, how similar is this to Hello Kitty? The Hello Kitty game that you guys play. Alright, Drifloon, I need you. Come. We're going to Dream Island. With my Ditto doll. I want to go to Dream Island. We get to find some good stuff. Mushrooms and something else. Yeah, that's fine. Let's go. I guess we can go. Thank you, Drifloon. Look at him! Let's go! You can't really build. Mostly quests and decorating. Oh, you also don't have an inventory. It's just... Oh, nice. So it's like a menu of all the things you own. That's cool. Here we are. Just let me know when you want to head back. I'll just be chilling here, so take as long as you need. More stuff to steal! Also, this music is so nostalgic. Look at these flowers. Oh, these are so pretty. Oh, stealing these flowers expeditiously. Mine now. For young kids like Nola, who's only 5. Right. So that she, like kids her age don't get stuck, like, looking for stuff. That's fair. Oh, look! Guys, mountain flowers, guys. Yeah, like, when you go to the crafting table... yeah, okay, I see. That's actually really nice and convenient, you know? We're here to loot. What's this? This is crop. What is this crop? What is this? Is that a flower? What is this? Oh, it's a tomato plant. I'm just gonna grab all this stuff. That's so nice. Industrial bench. That's new. I'm not gonna get any building blocks, low-key, because I don't really care for building blocks. But you know, I will steal this fencing. Time to make somebody else a little cage. I mean, a home. Oh, there's more ore down there. I can carry up to 99 ore per slot, though. Let's go down here. This is such an old Pokemon song. Like, it's literally like bringing back so much nostalgia. Na 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 na. Da 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 da. Da, da, da. Tons of ore. Yeah, Drifloon wasn't kidding. And I just grabbed tomatoes, so, like, honestly, I'm good to go. You scared the shit out of me! Guys, my boyfriend just walked into my apartment. I had no idea who it was. I had no idea. I was like, who is this man in my house? Is the water bad? Yeah, not anymore. You're like, I thought you learned how to swim. Oh my god, I actually shed a tear. That was fun. Like, I thought you learned how to swim, Justin. I thought we were over being scared of drowning. Let's get these cotton. This cotton spore, yeah. Hi, babe. I have no camera. Alright, take it over. Yeah, like it was like honestly a startle. I was so startled. Let's cut these trees down. So, the way my apartment's set up, Allie, is my office is at the back of my apartment, but those are the keys my boyfriend has to the house. And so that's the entrance he comes in. But my back is facing the door because it's the back of my apartment. So I could just see a figure in my peripheral enter my apartment. I was like, oh. Yeah. I mean, I was expecting him, so it wasn't like unexpected. I just wasn't expecting him so soon. Because we were just talking about coffee. Ooh, more plants over here. What are these? Look at these flowers. They're so pretty. Wait. Oh my god, stealing. Stolen. My flower. No, literally shocked. Like, just as shocked as the Pokemon when you take their stuff from their home. That's how shocked it was. Oh! Time to eat some food. Recovered my pee-pee. My wall after our message. It's so funny. Ooh, more stars. Okay, Stardust here. There's tons of rare loot on here too, like rare artifacts, so we find some. Also guys, I've like hooked my boyfriend on to Animal Crossing. Been enjoying that recently. Yeah, literally. All this ore. Holy shit. When I first got my PS5, I bought Disney Dreamlight and Coral Island, and no one saw me for days. Like, I got the when I got my PS5, it was the Miles Morales bundle for Spider-Man 2. Or no, for the Spider-Man Miles Morales, which wasn't Spider-Man 2. It was like the game in between. And that was a lot of fun. I literally played it in like 18 hours and completed it, got a platinum trophy. Just played it for 18 hours straight. Oh, a Pokeball over there. Okay, let's see what else. We've got so much ore. Oh, okay, so there's a new grass type. That's what it was. Oh, guys, I found paneling. Time to steal. I can't even get in there. Who is living here? There's a whole house. Taking the door. 30 pieces of fluff. Holy shit. I honestly don't care to like break that house down. Pardon? Oil. The olive oil or spray butter. The spray oil. We got Nola a Switch, and she would play her little games next to me. Aww. Oh no, her Switch stopped charging? That's so unfortunate. Wait, I think Nintendo has a battery guarantee. You should look into that. The lifetime warranty. The battery is gone. Yeah, I think Nintendo has... I know on joysticks, on the Joy-Cons, they have a lifetime warranty on them. If you submit it to Nintendo and say that it's a faulty. It was the gimmick to buy the Switch too. Ryan, welcome in. Ryan, how are you doing? Welcome in. Are you still streaming? I was in your stream tabbed. I don't like to be in people's chats while I'm live because it makes me feel awkward because I can't really sit there and have a conversation. Been good, suffering and outlet. Oh my god, you're still streaming. Okay, good. I'm on my phone. Alright, bad. I didn't want to distract you. How's Outlast Trials going? I saw you were with Kevin. With Kevin, right? We are stealing a bunch of stuff on these islands so far. I saw you were playing so I opened stream while you were playing Digimon, but I just come back from groceries, so I was putting them away. They didn't say hi. Stealing for my zoo. Yeah, literally. What's up, Haven? Thank you for the check-in. Thank you for coming in, bro. How are you? Have you gotten this game yet, Haven? Be honest. There's an environment I can make with this, so. Steal that. I like these berries. I like the color of these berries better than the berries that I started with. Yeah, I was lurking in Digimon for a little bit while I was unpacking my groceries, and then I got on the phone with my brother. I haven't yet. I want to though. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I think it's worth it. You've been working. How's work been? How have you been? Just working hard. Are you done with classes? How to take a shower? Oh, bad. Stinky as fuck. Lost relic. Let's keep breaking these things down. Oh, I forgot this is like the quick draw. So I have 2 more HMs to learn. I could get a Switch 2 for Nola. Honestly, wait. I will say, hear me out. Especially for someone like you, Ali, you could definitely get the Switch 2, and I would recommend, at this point, probably getting the Mario Kart bundle. Since Mario Kart is something you can play with the girls. I mean, at least Nola, you know? Because it's really easy to play Mario Kart. It's just like a button and directions. And I feel like you guys would have so much fun together playing that. She could just be her favorite characters, you know? She did have a lot of kids games, yeah. She did Spyro too, yeah. Like, totally worthwhile. I mean, even the, like, there's Kirby Air Ride. There's tons of fun games you can play with her that I think will make it great. Waiting for Winds and Waves to come out? Dude, Winds and Waves. Think about a game that you're not going to see me. I'm going to be so lost in that game. I'm sure it's going to be a ginormous game. If the direction of Pokemon is any indication of what that game's going to be like, it's just going to be a massive game with tons to do. Another real box. Hell yeah. Alright, we're going to loot up here, and then we're going to go back. Fire Pit, which I just bought these things. Scores. Good thing you bought those. Yeah, I know. And then I just find them for free. I'm gonna grow these trees in my environment too. My main wasted wasteland. Apparently it's easier to mine with mouse controls. Oh, really? Well, I'll have to try that. I'm using my Pro controller right now to play while the Switch is docked. I don't really like using the Joy-Cons, to be honest. I did not loot that house. I really jumped down and didn't go inside that house. So let's go. Guys, I really think I got the movement down in this game. Stealing the doors, don't mind me. Stealing those lanterns. I like this paneling. I think I'm gonna steal the panel. Oh, stealing this table. I'm gonna steal all this stuff. Bed, table, chairs. This. Oh! A fucking TV? Getting too much stuff. What can I get rid of? I'm getting rid of all these crates. And I'm getting rid of windows. Oh, no, I can't get rid of. I low-key can't really get rid of crates either. I guess I can eat these. I want this potted plant first. Nola had the thing where you could plug the Joy-Cons into to make a controller. Yeah, and I hated the Joy-Cons. It was so awkward, yeah. I don't like having the Joy-Cons, like, in each hand. Which is weird, because, like, a controller fits in two hands, but it's just one device. Take this. And then what else can I get rid of? And the soil, right? They need all this to plant. I want to plant some stuff. I guess I can get rid of this. Alright, time to break the house down, guys. Starting from the top. Is it gonna be worth it, guys? Do I really want to do this to myself? Like, when am I gonna use this paneling? Actually, oh! I learned that if you take pictures, you can just copy what you see over here in the Pokemon Center. You could put Pokemon in the house. You know, wouldn't that be crazy if Pokemon lived in houses? Ali, what a crazy idea. You can't live in houses, you silly. They're Pokemon. Oh, there's more to explore down here. Perfect. Oh, tons more. Oh, the moss rocks. Okay, let's get this. I want to steal this. I still don't know how to cultivate this. Overwhelmed Terry. They had to leave with your silly ideas. I know. Terry was like, "Wait, Pokemon don't live in homes in your Pokopia?" No, it's Pokopia. They don't want to live in a house. They're wild animals. Hello. I think I'm doing them a service by making them a zoo. You know what I mean? Steal these. Yeah, we have pockets for that. Yeah, I don't know how to cultivate the moss. Something tells me something's hidden in these rocks. Interesting. Oh, there's so much moss everywhere. That's so good. Can I break this? You're carrying too much stuff. Okay, fine. God, don't yell at me. There really isn't anything else important down here, huh? No items. Oh, back here. What's this? I can't break it yet. Interesting. Guys, lore and stuff to steal. Let's see. New plan proposal name TBD has been added to your organization is implementing a new plan in the hope of overcoming our past mistakes. See below for details. This plan will require the cooperation of our entire organization, not just select departments. We ask that all members read on their top priority. Interesting. So we know that Team Rocket is very integral to whatever's happened the apocalypse. Or during the apocalypse, like why the apocalypse is gonna happen. It's gonna be interesting to see how that story unfolds as we collect more. Let's collect the Stardust and these con spores, and then I think I'm good then. I think I'm good on Moss Rocks. So I'm pretty sure only some Pokemon spawn. Wait, I want to figure out what this material is. Material Girl! Oh, limestone. Whoa! I learned something, guys! I learned how to build. For marble. Guys. Okay, so this is limestone. And I can make marble with it. That's nice. So maybe we will harvest some of this stuff. That was the question mark. Harvesting. TBT when I said I wasn't gonna harvest building blocks, yeah, I lied. There's something I do is lie on stream. Allie's like, yes, we know. We're aware of your lies. All right, on. I just burped so loud. Excuse me. More ore. We have so many materials, guys. I've maximized my ore. Okay, time to go home. It's not letting me steal anymore. Game said, you have enough stuff, you fucking greedy bitch. You've stolen enough from this land. Haven't you taken enough? That's what the game's saying. Does your greed know no bounds? It doesn't. Alright, Drifloon, I'm ready to go home. Oh. Let's make one lap around this place. Oh, this extends all the way out here? Interesting. Oh, I ran out of stamina. Alright, there's nothing out here. I'm gonna go back. La 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 la. Wow. Iconic song. Iconic music. You wanna head back? Yeah, I have enough shit in my pockets. I can't keep doing this. I'm actually really happy that they showed Ditto grabbing onto his hands. That's so fun. Thanks, Ditto. I did enjoy the flight. Yo, move. Did any of my other Pokemon spawn in? Blastoise, I cannot believe that you're here. You make me so happy. And you too. Where's Squirtle? Nowhere to be found, by the way. Okay. We have a lot of stuff to do in that other town, so I think we're just gonna bring some berries for sustenance. The way it's in none of those. I hear a Pokemon. Bring berries. I hear a Pokemon somewhere. I heard grass rustling. Maybe I'm crazy. Hey, we're not talking. We're not on speaking terms. We also have to build this whole area out. I think we're gonna make maybe we can make this the farm. This is bright and open. Yeah, maybe that's the vibes. So clearly there's like electricity that can be powered here, and this is a waterway. Tidal form. Somebody built out over there, but oh, that opens another door. That's another exit. Interesting. Forgot to drop that stuff there. Forgot to drop that stuff. There is a lot I'm bringing. Let's put the doll back. I think I'm gonna leave the leaves here and I have a lot of lumber. I'll bring some lumber with me. The way you see how the bottom's highlighted? It won't even open the bottom. Okay, let's leave the doll. Leaving the doll. You can't leave the doll. Where are my badges? Take this. I forgot what I left behind. I have all my plants that I want to take. I guess I have everything I want, right? Yeah. Alright, let's just go back. We're gonna go back to the VOD, and we're gonna see that I wanted to do one thing, and I never got it. Like, I like that I built out that little alcove for everyone. We'll have to screw set up. I think I'm gonna keep my water Pokemon here. Like, even this side of the world is so massive. Look at my little butt. Bleak Beach. Yeah, let's go. Head MILF. I'm sick. That's sick and twisted, Allie. That blue carpet is crazy. I'm just looking at the pictures now. Even carpet in the kitchen. The flooring looks incredible, friend. Carpet in the kitchen is unhinged. Oh, her room is so sweet. Their rooms are so sweet. I love that bunk bed. Kitchen and bathrooms? What the fuck? There must have been a stench in that house. Like a mildewy, like I just think of mildew immediately when I think of carpet. Like, what were you thinking? Yeah, especially in a bathroom? Like, that was a choice. So we're gonna make this. So I think we're gonna keep this like this and make a little house here for the plant Pokemon, the grass Pokemon. But we're gonna extend this irrigation system down to this. It smelled like old stank house. It was a million times better than just getting rid of it. Yeah. Yeah, of course. I can only imagine how much better it was. We have a lot of clay to process. Torchic, if you could get on that. Torchic, I need you to get on that. Here, follow me. Okay, I'm gonna do this. Alright, have fun. Bye. Reap and Meowth are talking. Okay, I think priorities are rebuild the bridges and get some more lights out. Let's build some street lights. Can I build street lights? I can't. What do I need? Sea glass fragments? Wait, don't I thought I had that in my pocket. Did I drop them? Because, see, this is what I mean. I thought I had all that shit. But I lied to myself and everyone around me. That's building. I have to remember that how I organize. That's furniture. Oh, here's the ingredients. Okay. Lovely, lovely. They at least painted all the rooms gray, so some of our rooms are still millennial gray until I figure out what color I want to paint it. Oh no, period. Like that's the least you could do is make a neutral color room. Like golly gee. Honestly, all the furniture can go in here. Like, I think I'm just gonna empty my pocket. And go back and get my ingredients. Because that carpet was crazy. Our bedroom was bright green and kitchen fireplace was bright pink. What the? The fireplace was even painted? Like, be so serious. They were committed. They were committed to the bit at that point. I forgot these are the stairs to literally go up and out. Harper was crazy in our bedroom. Yeah. The girls' bathroom has wallpaper, but it actually kind of looks cool. So I just want to paint the vanity a greenish color. Their bathroom is pink. Aww. See, I don't mind that for kids, you know? Like a different color, bright colors in places. Yeah, I did buy some of those stick. Phew. Everything okay? Say, Hussein, when you travel from one town to another, I always have to rush to make it there before you. Have you noticed that? I figure you might get into some trouble. You don't have me around. I'm dead. That's a funny interaction. What does this do? Oh. Where are the recycling ingredients? Where'd they go? Oh, here. Here's all the stuff I wanted to bring back with me. Silly goose. Ooh, and I guess I have ladders I could add. Yeah, and I did to buy some stick-on tiles. Ooh, nice. And I got some stick-on tiles off Amazon for the backsplash in our kitchen. Yes, my mom has stick-on tiles in her kitchen. Definitely seen that happen, like, be used. Oh, hold on, I'm playing a D&D campaign later, and, I have to finish. I have to send my character. I didn't really I'm just gonna go human. Human. Oh, not magic. I'm gonna keep building this real quick. Ba 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 ba. I rolled a die and nothing happened. Ooh. Let's just do it one at a time. Oh. That's so funny. I have a 5 in intelligence, by the way. Let's just buff my constitution. Let's buff my charisma, and let's buff my. How do I share this? What's next? View character sheets, export to PDF. Let's do that. Copy. No bother at all. I don't pay attention to Discord. So the DMs are appreciated. Remind me, where is the group chat for this? Yeah, things I should have done way long. All right, we're back in the city. Yes, go to Bleak Beach, please. One Bleak Beach, please. And now we're back in Bleak Beach. Check this out. Sure. Is it a recipe? Hey Ditto, come trade with me. Okay, no. See, that's not what we're gonna do. What we're gonna do... Oh, I already had this plan. Oh well, now I have another. Yeah, let's make these lamps like we were intending to. Wait, we still can't build them? Why? Iron ore? Wait. Where did all the iron ore I literally just harvested go? Oh, this copper ore! That's a great question. Where do I get iron? Where do I get iron from? Let me go check over there if I have iron. Oh, I know. Once again, Justin forgetting materials. But I forget I can quick travel now instead of walking. I have a house. And a Pokemon Center. Ooh. My back hurts. I'm stretching. Your home could not be found. I know, I don't have a home here. Let's go find my iron ore. Right here. Found it. Naughty. Me not learning. I literally just reminded myself that I have a house that it will just take me to. Fast travel. Ba-ba-da-ba-ba. Excuse me. I've arrived home. Got a minute? Oh yeah, you have my wood, don't you? My lumber. Thank you. Okay. No, you don't really have good stuff for me, so I'm not gonna check that out, actually. Let's build our lamps. Can I still not build them? Why? Oh, I can. Do I build 28? Do I need iron ore for anything else? Oh, I need it for so much stuff. Maybe I'll do 10. Alright, there's a light here. Oh, I need my building blocks too. Restock? Interesting. Oh my god, I need to place a grate there. I keep falling in there. What do I need? I need my tile. Oh, I need this. And where is it? Where did Oh, I ran out of them. Marble. Oh, I need both. I need this and the green. Okay, cool. This. Wow, 200 blocks? Oh! Well, now I can't make that. Because I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot sandwich, guys. At least we can place lights. Maybe we won't build bridges. We'll place lights. Ah! Oop. Yeah. Mistakes were made. I wish I could recycle it. There was something else I wanted though. Do I have that in my inventory? Yeah, I do. There was something else. There was something else. There was something else. There was something else. Oh yeah, wood panel. Do I have that? I don't. Oh, it's right there. I found it. Where'd it go? I just saw it. Oh my god. Guys. Maybe stacking them like this isn't helpful. Oh, here, leave levy, stairs, and I guess I can take this limestone. This, and there's Lugia. And we're gonna just put these poles everywhere. Oh, I don't have my utility poles. He's gonna drop his feather. There's a house up there. Did I know that? Oh, actually, I want the logs too. Not me needing all the iron. No, I literally need it all. You know, hi, Wingle. Angel, what's up? I gave the dinosaurs more meat, like you asked me to. What? You know, made them meatier. Oh, streetlights. Inventory, I have another one here. I have this one, and I have let's see how far I can move this so it breaks. Oh, it crosses the street. Wait, that's kind of iconic. That's kind of cool that it crosses like that. I like that. We'll make this a bridge. And look at that. Now it's a bridge. Let's see, maybe we can... Oh, it's still across... Yeah, it's across the river. So cool. And then we have light posts here. How exciting. What's exciting? Did I have utility poles up? When I think of all the Pokemon who might return here thanks to your efforts, I get giddy with anticipation. Okay. Do I need this one? I do need this one. Oh, it has to be that close. It's because he's literally standing in the way. He's standing in the way of the point that I need him to not be on. I need you to move. God. It's like one too many, like... Ugh. What a waste. I guess I'll put him there for now until he moves. I think we have electricity all set up. Oh, Hustine! Oh, did you finish my plastic stuff? Oh, no. Oh, it chipped your tooth? Oh, no, I got a new emote. The despair emotes. Damn, that's dramatic. I need to add these cubes here. Oh, look, there's one right there. Thank you. All right. I am gonna work on this off stream. We got a lot done. We went to visit an island. We got some new Pokemon. I'm happy where we left off. This will probably all be done when we come back tomorrow. But thank you for coming with me on this journey. I'm gonna go have dinner right now. Before my D&D campaign. Allie, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. And thanks everyone for coming to say hi and checking in. More Pokopia tomorrow. This has been a lot of fun doing this with you guys and this game. So I'm gonna still sell my friends.